Hey everybody, today in this video I want to talk about the reds I have in my watercolour sketching palette and share about the mixes I used when I was sketching recently in Toulouse for the Urban Sketchers Symposium. First of all, I want to update you about a change I made to my watercolour sketching palette. Since posting a video called A New Sketching and Plein Air Palette for 2026. And the change I made was largely in response to a viewer called Mrs. Barnaby, who said that she was sad to see that I'd replaced Permanent Rose with Quinacridone Magenta. And as it turned out, she was quite right. And I ended up swapping Permanent Rose back in. Now, after working with the two reds that I'd chosen for that new palette, Quinacridone Magenta by Core and Permanent Alizarin Crimson by Daniel Smith, I realised that they really weren't the right choices for my work. Quinacridone Magenta, which is PR122 pigment, is a bit too far towards violet, and although I really love its vibrant hue, it really doesn't vibe with my naturalistic style of sketching. So I decided to go back to Permanent Rose for my sketching palette, and that's a Winsor & Newton colour. Pigment is PV19, so I decided to go back to Permanent Rose for my cool red. Now, as for Permanent Alizarin Crimson, I find it too dull, especially for mixing purples. Also, it's made up of 3 pigments, and apart from one green, Undersea green, which I allow myself, all the other colours in my 12 half-pan sketching palette are single pigment. Yeah, it's just Undersea green, which I like, so I allow myself that. I also realised that I really need a warm red in my sketching palette, although I hardly ever use one in my landscapes unless it's for something like red geraniums or berries or something. I do need it to give me a fuller range of mixed colours, like a good clear orange, for example. So I replaced the Alizarin Crimson with Pyrrol Scarlet by Daniel Smith. Now, this warm red really came into its own in Toulouse, and I'm going to show you how I used it in combination with the 2 earth reds that I have in my palette, Indian Red and Transparent Red Oxide, to achieve the various pinks and red tones of the brick buildings in Toulouse. So yes, as I said, back in July this year, I was in the southern French city of Toulouse for the 2026 Urban Sketchers Symposium. Now, Toulouse is known as La Ville Rose, the pink city, because of its red brick buildings. And the pinkness comes from the bricks originally made by the Romans using clay dredged from the Garonne River, which runs through the city. The colours in Toulouse's brickwork range from earthy pinks, as you can see here, in the older, more weathered bricks, to deeper orangey terracotta in the more recent buildings. Now, I've sketched several times in Toulouse over the years, and I want to show you this sketch from 2013 because I actually went back to the same spot at the symposium last month, and I sketched virtually the same scene. Now the colours in the 2013 sketch are much less vibrant, and that's mainly because it was an overcast day in October, so there aren't any strong contrasts, unlike in July when it was very sunny. Now, as far as I remember, I would have used Indian red for the pinkish tones and burnt sienna. You can actually see it better in this one. Burnt sienna, or actually, yeah, burnt sienna, which one I was using then, which is similar to the transparent red oxide I use now. Now, in this sketch from last month, obviously it's sunny, so the colours are going to be a lot more saturated. It was baking hot and the sun was very strong, creating very pronounced contrasts, which is just how I like it, because I really enjoy painting shadows in watercolour. And it was when painting this scene that I found myself using this combination of my two earth reds, Indian red and transparent red oxide, and a little bit of Pyrrol Scarlet, just the merest touch, because it is a very strong pigment. But it just ended up being the perfect combination. So first of all, Indian red, and I'm going to use my sketching palette even though I'm in the studio, because this is what I used when I was sketching in Toulouse. So this is Indian red. It's highly pigmented, it's opaque and granulating. And on the Daniel Smith website, it's described as a greyed earth brown, perfect for architectural renderings, old brick, etc. Put more water in here, show you what a nice pink it makes. I might have put a bit too much pigment on there. Anyway, we'll see, it will dry lighter. Now for transparent red oxide. This is also PR 101. It's described as transparent and granulating. Daniel Smith website describes it as a highly transparent burnt orange, incredibly warm. Oh yes, you can see that. I mean, that is a classic red brick colour, the kind that you might find in Manchester and other northern cities of the UK, and indeed some of the buildings in Toulouse are this more classic brick red colour than pink. And now Daniel Smith Pyrrol Scarlet. This is pigment PR255. So that's the colours on their own. And now we're going to mix them in varying combinations. Yes, I think I must have had some grease on the paper there, because normally that makes a very nice flat wash, but it's a bit mottled for some reason. So now we're going to mix Indian red with predominantly Indian red, with a small amount of transparent red oxide. So here we have the Indian red, just a touch of transparent red oxide, now use predominantly Indian red with a touch of Pyrrol Scarlet. As you would expect, it's much more pinky red. And now all three together. With predominantly Indian red, roughly equal amount of transparent red oxide, and just a touch of sea. Again, predominantly Indian red, more of Pyrrol Scarlet, and just a touch of transparent red oxide. And there you can see the warm red coming through from the Pyrrol Scarlet. In these two sketches that I did in Toulouse, Place Saint-Etienne and the Basilique Saint-Sernin, you can see the whole range of terracotta colours that occur in Toulouse. You've got the pale pink of the older brickwork, which is largely achieved by a diluted Indian red, maybe with the slightest touch of transparent red oxide. And then this more modern building is much more orangey. So I wouldn't have had any Indian red in this mix. This would be transparent red oxide and a touch of Pyrrol Scarlet. In the bell tower of the Basilique Saint-Sernin, again, just a very light wash of Indian red is all you need. Touch of blue for the shadows. So just having a quick look through my sketchbook from Toulouse. There's this one where the brickwork on the Pont Saint-Pierre is this lovely pale pink Indian red with the old brickwork, and then the dome of La Grave, more orangey. This is the water tower, the Chateau d'Eau, and that's a definite Victorian structure, the classic terracotta colours. And back to that one. That's really all I did of the red brick architecture. Let's have another quick look at this one. This is the one that I showed you earlier from 2013, and I really like the fact that you can see the old brickwork, the pale pink, next to the more modern classic terracotta shades. That was also in Place Saint-Etienne. So there we go. Thanks for watching through to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate. Please also like the video, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel. It really helps. Thank you. Bye for now.